Hello, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Michael.
We are Some of Everything Everything, and you're watching.
Toasted.
You were inspired by Kanye,
Kanjay. Yes, of course.
not because of his music, but because of his attitude.
Well, it's a similar thing I was talking about with Foles. It is music, obviously, but it's how it's put together. And when I say attitude, I don't just mean he says a cool thing. I mean the fact that he will, for example, he'll stop the track halfway through and play a sample in a different key from another record, and then start the song. Or a song is made of a bass synth which is far too loud, and a kick, and a sort of distorted vocal. Decisions in musical decisions that are against the grain and are bad ideas, or stuff that shouldn't work, or those. Yeah, that having the confidence to do those things. That's what I mean by attitude, and that's what he seems to have really nailed with that record. Is the absolute confidence of it. I mean, not all of it works, but if you allow yourself to believe him for minutes and think, yes, I am going to do that, and I am going to do that, and I am going to do that, it's an amazing sort of thrill to listen to, rather than bands or artists kind of like, oh, do you like this little beat, and then the bass line will come in, and then here comes the guitar, and everything's as you expect and what you want and what you're used to, and it all works really well, and you feel this emotion here and then this one here, and then it ends. It's like, no, fuck you, this is just a siren for 3 minutes, and I'm telling you to fuck off over the top of it. And that's really refreshing in today's musical world.
Did you listen to the Kendrick Lamar album yet?
Yeah. Mike's listened to it a lot more, though.
I think that's really that's what you described really nails that album, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Lyrically and musically, it's just those surprising moments and kind of a feeling of just opening up. It's as if you're walking through. There's so much music in the world now. It's as if you're walking through the woods and it's like, yeah, loads of trees, and then you just get into an open space and you're like, I didn't even think of this. I didn't even know this could be possible in a way. And that's really hard these days because we've had 60 years of popular music, so most of it's been done. So that kind of freshness is just it's still so exciting, and it's what not everyone, but what's what most people are kind of find, that little bit of kind of like, right, yeah.
Where do you think music actually will go to? Because I mean, we're of course on the edge of something happening. I mean, a lot of musicians will actually die the coming years. I've suddenly realized after Bowie and Lemmy, and probably a lot more will die off. I mean, probably the whole baby boom generation will probably disappear within the next 10 years. What does it mean for music, you think?
Very little.
Really?
Well, they've made their music. I don't think. I mean, Bowie's an exception, but no, no one was waiting for the new Lemmy album, really. Or maybe they were, but not very many people. There's probably been more music made last year than in the whole 60 years previous. It's just absolutely mental now, and all the old models of how we consume it and how we even measure it is just different. You don't have the movement. Like, you can't say in the 70s there was glam, punk, blah blah blah, X, Y, and Z. There's just like, in 2015 there was literally everything that's ever existed 60 million times over, and loads of stuff, more music than you could ever possibly understand or listen to or comprehend, and there's no kind of focus. No one's clustered around the wireless anymore. Everyone's just in their own world, so there's nothing to group anyone together. So there's nothing you can call a movement, because you can't really have them anymore, because people don't get together anymore. Despite what you think of social media, it's really everyone doing their own thing. Yeah. So you won't be able to look back at this and think that it was a thing. It's just all changed. It's just everything all of the time for the foreseeable future, really.
Must be difficult also to make music in a period like this, I suddenly realize. I mean, because everybody's also a musician, probably, right?
Yeah, but everybody always was a musician until Elvis, really. Everyone had the piano and or played the fiddle or the guitar or whatever, and this whole idea of being a special person is quite new and quite strange, and only happened because microphones were scarce, and no one had invented the record player and stuff like that. Like, maybe it'll go back to a time where your neighbor, you do listen to your neighbor's music and your son's music that they've made, and you kind of forget about big stars. Probably not, but it's getting more and more like that all the time.
Because how easy it is to make music.
Yeah.
Cheap. Yeah.
And there's no reason why my neighbor's music's gonna actually be better than Justin Bieber's if he works hard. It doesn't. There is no intrinsic musical ability. Isn't really a real thing. It's about how much experience you get and how creative your mind is, and everyone can be, unless they've been knocked on the head or something, can pretty much get there if they have
Actually, a lot of people.
time and money, and the money's the other big thing, obviously.
Actually, a lot of musicians we talk to, they write on the road, but they also really almost finish their songs on their telephones because they have GarageBand on their phone and they start fiddling about in the tour bus, and they say, well, it's getting to the point where it's going to be so good that I can actually make an entire song which sounds really good on my phone.
Yeah, well, that's technology, isn't it?
But do you use it as well? Do you use that stuff?
I do. Yeah, we've used pretty much all the stuff that's out there. There's some phone stuff on Get to Heaven. We used a little sampler to do some samples in Spring Sun.
That's the thing. It's like if you look at the 70s, you had to kind of go into a big studio, and obviously there's money. You need money for that, and you need a producer, and you need a big record label, and blah blah blah. And now you just don't need those things. So it's democratized it a lot, and it's a really interesting time for the music industry in general. Like, are there going to be record labels in 10 years? Is that required anymore? Can we just put it straight online, onto a streaming service or whatever? Will streaming services? I mean, we're in this kind of transitional phase, and no one quite knows where it's going. Maybe next time we'll just put our new album on our website and not have. I mean, we'll still have a label actually, but maybe we won't make CDs and blah blah blah. We'll just be more direct with it. We don't know. I mean, I'm not saying we will do that, but it feels like anything's possible at the moment.
Well, to me, it sounds actually really exciting and positive.
Yeah, it is exciting, absolutely. A bit scary, I think, for people who have been in the industry for like 20 years, like behind the scenes, and they're not sure what way it's going. But for the artists, it's probably a good thing, except if you need money in the first place, because there's less money going around because people aren't buying records. So the trickle down is not happening. If you're a smaller artist and you need money to make a record, for whatever reason, then it's harder to come by these days.
But how come is it that it's always the bands, the people holding the guitars and the drumsticks who say this, and it's never the dance industry, or well, maybe even the hip hop guys? But I mean, there's a massive dance industry in Holland, of course. They don't complain at all.
Well, they have very, very little recording costs, and touring costs are ridiculously low.
But they also attract massive crowds,
They sure do. So that's the model that works, isn't it?
It's weird, huh?
Well, it's not weird.
It's totally weird.
Well,
one guy with a computer samples stuff that other people makes. 60,000 people to come up. I mean, it's weird.
Humans are weird. we 60 million people just went to see a recording of actors in front of a green screen and pretending to be from outer space. It made $2 billion, and I went, you went. What? Why?
Well, that was fun at least, but
so's David Guetta.
well,
He plays nursery rhymes.
yeah. Well, on the other hand, I also respect him for what he does. I think he did some couple good songs actually. I don't know if he produced them all himself.
I'm an expert on Guetta, I'm afraid.
Hey, who did the album sleeve? I can still call it a sleeve, even though we're in the digital period. Who did the artwork? I loved it.
Andrew Archer, who's an illustrator from, he lives in Australia, he's from New Zealand, and it was the designer, Johnny Costello, kind of pointed us in his direction. Although we'd seen the video for Major Lazer video, I think it was, that he'd done, where everything's kind of melty, and we liked that. And we just wanted something that kind of matched the music, that was exaggerated and vivid and bold and slightly, not off-putting, but slightly violent, I suppose. I mean, we wrangled with it quite a lot, to be honest, but yeah, we feel like it represents the music very well and the record very well, and our attitude of what we wanted.
You could have picked a really violent picture as well.
Yeah, I wanted one. And I think I wanted everything to be really violent, all the videos to be like unplayable and things like that. And the guys and the label kind of talked me down from it. I think that was obviously a really good idea, and we ended up with something much more three-dimensional, four-dimensional than just violence.
But there is still violence in the
There
video.
is,
and we're still getting shot. And
Yeah, I
people
know,
getting
but
shot.
I wanted it all to be like that. I wanted the cavemen to be like just disgusting. I suppose they're kind of eating rabbits and stuff, aren't they? Anyway, yeah, but still, we've ended up, particularly with the cover, in this really strange kind of jokey violence, which is really perfect for the music, where I'm constantly making jokes and then saying something really serious.
Yeah, I mean, we had to argue with everyone about that cover, and one of our main points was, which I think Johnny said originally, the designer said originally, was, at the time there were so many beheadings on the news, and kids could just go on YouTube and watch these things, and we were saying, if that's in the world, surely a cartoon, a man looking a little bit distressed is not going to be upsetting anyone too much. And I think that was one of the arguments that kind of won the vote.
It was that we kept saying, well, we're reflecting this bad stuff. We're not pretending it's not there, And the label didn't want it at all to begin with. They said it was too scary and too.
Are you shitting me?
No, they did, and then eventually they said, no, this is right. But there was still some.
Ran out of time, and we said, oh, we'll just put the name and then the front, and they're like, oh, okay, you can have it.
And I bet even when you release it, there were still some shocked reactions.
Well, I
or
mean, we were gonna. John wants to call the album "Give Me the Gun" originally, and then all these shoots. I mean, there's always been shootings, but there just seemed to be quite a few. What was the particular one that was happening? Was that the Paris? I think it was the Paris Charlie Hebdo one around that time, and it's very difficult these days to do something that is touching upon these themes when these things are happening in the world, because.
Especially if you first write it and then it happens.
Yeah, well, that happens again and again. Like, that's how we started talking, is that the stuff I've said on the record that's kind of come true. It's become reality since, which is weird.
Actually, thinking about calling it "Give Me the Gun," I think actually it's a brilliant idea.
Thank you very much. I really wanted it to be called that for a long time. But I do think we made the right decision in the end, because Get to Heaven is... If you want to find the violence in there, it is in there. Someone blows himself up or cuts someone's head off for a religious belief to try and get to heaven is contained within that phrase, as well as lots of positivity if you want that. Whereas there's not much positivity in Give Me the Gun, unless it's somebody who's pacifying,
Yeah.
which is why we wanted the title as well.
Great stuff. Hey guys, playing tonight. Will you guys be back in Europe, mainland Europe, in summer? Play festivals?
We're working on it. We want to be here as much as possible, really. It's quite hard, but it's hard to get the bookings. But we will definitely be doing a few, and we'll be doing as many as we possibly can.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.